Okay, so welcome to the next happy hour. So as we have a new year, we sort of starting again with from sort of start with introducing EESSI, what it is, and then go through different topics. And the idea for the happy hour is that we meet with a sort of little bit less formal agenda. We have some updates, maybe some information what's going on, plus some topic we want to highlight, and then attendees can ask questions for the topic, but of course also any other topic can be discussed. Usually we record the beginning of the session, and then after some time we can, if you don't want to be recorded with your questions, we can stop the recording and then have more discussions. So here just a bit of information what's going on. So that is this week, right? So there's this workshop or maybe event at EMBL later this week where EESSI is presented and used. Then during the weekend, there's FOSDEM. EESSI is also there present with several presentations. And then there is now a series of webinars organized by the Europe HPC Federation platform. The first is February 4th, and there's more coming, and EESSI is also part of the Europe HPC Federation platform.
Yeah, the second webinar in the list there is actually focusing on the federated software stack. So actually on how EESSI is being integrated into the Federation platform. The registration for the second one is not open yet, but it will be very soon, probably this week.
Yeah. And the one for the first is already open. So
yes.
if you want to register, I guess one finds easily a link to that.
I'll drop a link here in the chat. It's my-eurohpc.eu, and then there's a training button on the top right there that you can find.
Yeah. Okay.
And something you didn't mention in the slide here, there's the pre-FOSDEM hackathon thing as well, right? It's small scale. So on Thursday, Friday, before the FOSDEM weekend, we're also organizing something more informal. There's no presentation, so it's just people interested in EESSI coming together in a room and maybe doing some hands-on work. So if you happen to be coming to Brussels for FOSDEM and you're there a bit earlier, let us know or check the FOSDEM channel in the EESSI Slack to learn more about the pre-FOSDEM hackathon.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So now for this happy hour, we would like to talk a little bit about ways to access EESSI. And so here on the slide, there are 4 ways listed. One is via CERN VMFS, and maybe more specifically via sort of a native installation of the CERN VMFS client. And it is also mentioned here that this is the recommended way. It could be that it's not possible that one installs a CERN VMFS client on a system, but one can run a container. Then there is a script to make this easier. The script is called EESSI Container. If that's also not possible, then one could use a tool called CVMFS exec. And there's a blog post about this, how to do this. And if also that is not possible, then one could use the CERN-VMFS shrink wrap utility. Basically, what this is doing is that it creates a copy, an image of the CMFS directory for EESSI, and then you can use that to mount this on your system. Today, I would focus only on the first one. Here, what you see, the CMFS native client installation. Before I show this, I would try to look into the documentation, because we actually have some documentation. It's always good to look into that. So so that's just easy IO/docs, and then if I go to design and here file system layer, you find this nice picture, yeah, of sort of this describes different components in CernMFS and how, uh, yeah, what role, let's say, they have. Just go briefly here. So Stratum Zero, that's the central server where we have, where we sort of put all software, store all software. Yeah, and then around you have these Stratum One servers. They each have a complete copy of all the all the software on the Stratum Zero. So they are, you can see them as mirror servers. As a user, you would normally not, so I guess you never access the Stratum Zero directly. You would always go to a Stratum One or to a proxy server. Yeah, so if you're a user, then you can install the client on your system, on your laptop, for example, or on a virtual machine in the cloud. Or if you are not if you're a user, maybe you can't do this on the HPC cluster, but then you would ask an admin to install the CernMFS client. And these clients then have either direct access to the Stratum One or via a proxy that is sort of symbolized here. And the proxy you can think of as just like a cache for all the accesses. And this works quite well because CernMFS uses HTTP as protocol to exchange data. So that's a basic structure. And the next thing I would like to show is just if I go back to the documentation. So installation configuration. And here, so maybe the first thing before you think about installing something is you could ask yourself, okay, maybe is it already available? So if you would just run this command on your system, you could check if it is available. If you see something like this as output, then EESSI is already available, and then basically you're done. You don't have to install anything. Yeah. But if it's not available, you see, okay, sorry, going back here, if you see something like this, then it's not available, and then you have to do something. And today I just talk a little bit more about what this native installation is. So I can just go here. So this page describes how you install first, let's say, for a single client on a single machine, single VM. And based on what kind of Linux distribution you have, we have different sets of installation instructions for Red Hat-based systems or Debian-based systems. And although, let's say, it looks a bit like that you have a few more instructions here for Debian, in general, there's like not a lot of, not many instructions. And that's all you have to do. So for example, if you could try this on your own machine. If you're a bit reluctant to try this on your own machine, maybe you can just create a virtual machine for yourself and then do this. And then after that, after this last step, then you should run again this ls command. Let me see if I find this here. It's not here, so just going back maybe. Just then you would run again this command to check if you have access. It can take a little while until it fetches data from the Stratum 1 server or proxy, and then you should see this. If you see that, then you're done. Going maybe again. So that's for a single client. If let's say you have you're actually an admin for an HPC system, then the recommendation is that you have at least a proxy. Yeah? So that is here described in this section. And there's more. I don't want to go into this a lot more. We have actually had a tutorial on this. Let me see if I find this. In our section training events. So for example, we had in our webinar series last year, we had the tutorial based on this. So you can find more information about this. And this was also basically a repetition of what we have done in 2023 already.
I mean, we just cleaned this up actually last week. There's a link
Okay,
there, tutorial
perfect.
website
Yeah,
in the materials.
yeah,
That will link you to the section in the EESSI documentation about this tutorial specifically.
yeah. Okay, perfect timing. Yeah. So from my experience, we have done particularly these steps here on a native, on VMs, many, many times. They work flawlessly. If it doesn't work, like in my case last time, then I forget one of these redirection characters here, and then I overwrote and I overwrote the file, and then this line was not there anymore, and then it didn't work. Yeah. So if you just copy all these instructions here and you run them, and it should just work. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Maybe we can open for questions. Can I go back maybe to the slides? Yeah. So next, I think as next topic, we can look into EASY Container and other options, but we should do this maybe next time.
Yeah, the last one is on using SquashFS images, right? Yeah. There's a couple of EESSI sites going with that approach. So once we collect some more information on how they're doing that and why they're doing it like this, maybe we can briefly cover that as well.
Yeah.
Is that the schedule for next week or?
I think next week it was not decided yet what to do.
Okay, okay.
But I think
Yeah,
next week what one could do is look into using the EASY Container script, run it, explain a bit different options there, and also just go through documentation what we have there, right? Because documentation is, I think, there already.
Yeah, if the SquashFS, so the shrink wrap approach will be more for, let's say, mid-February, then we can probably provide some more details on how the bigger systems are taking this approach. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions?
So basically, we wanted to add like more interaction and take the attendees' opinion if we should cover other ways of accessing easy. And that's why we still didn't like set the next week's topic. So, but I guess going and repeating what we covered for the easy container could be interesting.
Yeah.
Because it adds other options like the read write and whatever to the CVMFS. So
Well, one thing I think would be helpful is to have like a single page that lists all the ways of accessing easy and why there are different methods. So in some cases, you're using an approach for example, having offline access or something like this. The container has advantages and disadvantages, so you can get a writable overlay very easily. But then you need a container, and it's probably single node. So,
you think like a documentation page?
Yeah, like a landing page for ways to access easy that has a table.
Yeah.
With an overview. Yeah. That would probably be helpful, I think, for many people. For us, it's clear.
Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe some.
I think an additional page in here that then links to the other page.
Yeah. And maybe after that, sort of, you can sort of say, okay, so if it's accessible, then you're done, right? Then you don't have to worry. Someone else has done maybe the job for you. And then after that, you could say, okay, so if it's not available, how to get access? What are the different options? What are pros? What are cons? And then sort of some guidelines on.
Yeah,
help
and I
you.
would make it a separate page. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Alternatives or accessing
Could
easy.
be before, sort of before native,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Okay.
the CCMFS exec and the Squash FS should actually also be entries here. We don't have a dedicated documentation page on
Yeah.
those yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think for one of them, there's a pull request in the documentation,
Mm-hmm.
which was not entirely finished yet. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
Helena and Caspar still working on this. You
Yeah.
should check on the states. I'm not sure if it's for CVMFS exec or Squash FS or both, but there's definitely some.
I think it might be both. It definitely has the shrink wrap in it, but I don't know if it has.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's maybe a more general thing for the people in the call here. Documentation wise, there's definitely, let's say, gaps or things where we can improve. If you see anything that you think, oh, it would be nice if this or this is covered better in the documentation, please raise it somehow in Slack or open an issue, whatever makes most sense to you.
Mm-hmm. Don't see it here. Put this here, but
I think it's a pretty old one, actually. So if you sort them to
this
right,
one?
no.
Not this one. No, standard ways to use easy. Maybe this one.
Yeah, I think it's this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Going on for
Good.
a while. It got updated recently, I think, by, was it Caspar?
Not even a year old, so.
But we've been iterating over it again and again. I think it's improving.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit more love. But I think Helena is traveling this week. She's also coming to FOSDEM over the weekend, so don't think it will happen this week.
Yeah. Are there some questions, maybe?
The chat, we have some questions, and Alan already answered about the Windows Subsystem Linux, but maybe you can briefly describe what to do, or even the next question about from Ian Andre.
Maybe I can say something just briefly about the WSL thing, because I actually use it every day myself. And there is one kind of a gotcha with it. So the documentation will work out of the box, right? So well, depending on which OS you're using inside WSL, but like say the Ubuntu stuff that works out of the box. What does happen though is that you lose the mount after something like 5 minutes, I think, by default. So AutoFS unmounted. That's okay because it will remount it again, but it makes things seem really slow. And the problem is the unmounting, right? So then you need to do some special things to stop that unmounting. And I never documented how I did it, but that's possible.
I guess also on the Windows side, I'm also currently working in trying. This is more for demo case than actual use, but also using easy within a Docker extension with a Jupyter Lab server. Which at the end it's an hidden kind of hidden container, but still it gives access to easy without ever having to see a command line. So it could be useful for users that are more like exe oriented, let's say.
Yeah, any questions broadly? We also see some new names, I think. Maybe we can do this after the recording, but it would be nice to hear why you're interested in Easy and why you're here. If you're just hanging out or if you have a specific question. So feel free to speak up either now or after the recording. I think Renato and Yuri from EMBL, they couldn't join last time. I don't know if there's something you want to say about the plans at EMBL.
I think at the moment, just that we are going to be building some packages, most likely, trying to address some of the software uses that people are doing with containers and Conda environments and so on, but to bring those to easy.
Any specific stuff that comes to mind, or?
I think the specific software that is that what you mean, Kenneth?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I think on the specific software we are still trying to find the best examples. There were a few that were mentioned that people use quite often, but in terms of what is in the tool stack and what is needed is not entirely clear. Many of them are Python based. Some of them needed CUDA, and I'm aware that CUDA is not yet in a fully complete shape. So maybe we will pick something else to avoid that.
Well, to clarify on the CUDA support, it is there in the older easy version, 2306. We actually have things like at least GROMACS and a couple of other things with CUDA support. But in the new easy version, 2506, it's not there because we're making some improvements to that. And that's still an ongoing effort. It's quite close, I think. It's a shame Caspar isn't in the call because he has the latest view on this. But it is coming quite soon. Yeah. So as long as you stay with some of the older tool chains, let's say 23A, 23B, then you'll find several things with CUDA support already.
Yeah, we'll probably adapt a bit on the spot, but go ahead, Yuri. I see that you opened your mic.
Yeah, so the broader picture is that we are preparing a transition of our HPC environment to Red Hat 10 based environment. And as a part of that, we will also be deploying EESSI as the default source of all of the software. So right now we have a rather large NFS share that's hosting all of our EESSI builds. It's approaching 15 terabytes, I think. And we'll be looking how to move most of that to EESSI, setting up all of the processes and pipelines to do that. And this will probably take us a couple of years. So to populate EESSI with all of the stuff that our users are interested in. And this event, the following days, is first step in this path, getting people familiar with EESSI, explain them how it works, how they can use it already, and how to approach it, and how to make best use of it.
That's 15 terabyte worth of software installations, right?
Yes.
How far back does that go in terms of tool chains and?
So the oldest tool chains were on Red Hat 7, I think 2014, 2015.
Okay.
So GCC 4.9.
That also
And
includes
then
the
it's built
installations
across
all.
6 different architectures, I think, if not 7.
Yeah.
So plenty of stuff.
And that's all Intel AMD, right? No ARM yet.
Yes, yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of software.
And have you thought about if you want to have all the software in EESSI, or maybe provide a different way?
So first few years will have to be something from EESSI, something from local, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my
Yeah.
first milestone here is to reach a state where we can use the EESSI, this compatibility layer, and build against that and have modules locally as a kind of a staging area. So when users confirm that these modules work as expected, then we submit them upstream for everyone to use through EESSI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be very interesting if you talk to the Austrians, how they do this, because I think they have a very similar scenario that they use EESSI for maybe a lot of software and a lot of needs, but then have their own modules. And it could be interesting how they do this, how they provide these modules via maybe a shared file system only, or maybe a separate Stratum Zero repository hosted on a Stratum Zero. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this type of use case will become common with the EESSI adoption going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So right at this moment we are like figuring things out, but at some point we can then share our experiences and maybe create some kind of documentation or best practices type of document how to approach this.
Mm-hmm.
And then remain open for input from other sides as well, because people will find different ways to implement this, I'm sure.
Maybe interesting thing could be how you build the software. Do you do this manually? Do you have some automation already? Could you maybe reuse the EasyBot we have developed? Things like that.
Yes, that's definitely something I will look into. So right now we have a, let's say, development stage where you work on a easy config until it builds, and then you drop it into a Git repository from where it gets picked by a pipeline that actually does the builds on all of the relevant architectures on the HPC and drops the resulting software into appropriate location.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
plan to do something similar, but with easy as a base, not the distribution that's on the HPC. That would be a first step, and then probably I will also look into the EasyBot itself to see what can I steal from there, basically, that's applicable to us.
Yeah. We can also have a chat about this, right? So once you're more clear what you want to do, we can have a meeting, we can discuss this. And I think what we could also do is we could adjust the EasyBot, maybe add features you need.
Yeah,
I'll
I think
keep that
after
in mind.
this week's hackathon, it would be good to see what you learned, what you're maybe unhappy with, or what you think is going to be problematic going forward. And yeah, let's keep the conversation going. I think that's going to be interesting. Yeah, because with some slight adjustments, we may be able to make it a lot easier for sites to do what you're planning to do, to use easy as a base or as a central stack, and then slowly migrating towards more and more easy rather than building stuff yourself. Yeah, sounds good.
One more question. You said you're using GitLab or GitHub?
GitLab at the moment, local installation.
Okay.
The idea, Renato, correct me if I'm wrong, was also that you would write some kind of blog post on the hackathon experience, right? After this week.
Yeah, so Yuri already mentioned the intention of writing some documentation, and then yes, we would want to highlight how the experience went for people, and we have a somewhat technical group of people attending, but not very deep into it. So I'm also very curious to see how this experience turns out for them, because many of them are more on the user side rather than on let's say the people that will be preparing the environment and that are able to create their own toolings and preparing them for an HPC context. So yes, we will definitely write something afterwards. Exactly where, it's still to be decided, and yeah, and then for sure whatever outputs we manage to get, we will also highlight there, and maybe some of the things that people found more challenging, or let's say directions to improve.
Yep. Yeah, and like Thomas is showing here, the Austrians have definitely done a lot of work on this already. So some kind of joint call with them is probably also interesting. And I know that people in Groningen, like Pedro and Bob, are planning to make a similar move. So
yeah, we actually started that well, we have a bit of planning done, but we are starting that this week. So the plan is that the next maybe month or so we really ramp up the work to basically implement that. And a lot of the topics are pretty much in common, so it makes it a lot of sense to join efforts, I think.
yep.
Do you also use GitLab locally in Groningen?
Yeah, self-hosted GitLab as well.
Okay.
Yep. The bot currently only supports GitHub, right? But it is so that would be a bit of work to make it work well on GitLab.
Yeah. So,
but hopefully the code is well prepared for that, and it's pretty clear where things should happen.
We on our side we have allocated, I mean, in the pre-planning of time, some time to look into that as well. I don't know whether it will be enough or if we'll be able to get it done quickly, but yeah, at least that's something we want to take a look at because we're also have deployed the bot, the GitHub bot here already, and have played around with it a bit, so it might make it a little easier to know where to start and all these things.
I mean, even at JC, we're thinking about how we can improve deployment on our systems better. And I think the EasyBot might be very interesting in that regard since we deploy quite a few systems.
Mhm.
And I guess you're also using GitLab at GSC.
Yeah, we have our own GitLab instance and then use run us directly on the HPC system to do the installations. And it works fine most of the time, except when you might need a job or you might need a certain group to install software. Those are the pain points, especially.
Mm. Yep.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like 2026 is going to be the year where people start making the jump towards easy as a base or easy as a main central software stack and then building stuff on top. Yeah. Okay, any other questions before we close the recording? So the people watching the recording, if you join this live, you can also join the informal, brutally honest discussion after we stop the recording. It looks like there's no more questions for now. We'll do this again next week, of course, every Monday, 2 p.m. Central European time. I guess we can wrap up the recording, Richard.
Good idea.
Okay, so before I stop the recording, just to clarify that next session we'll be using the easy container script, right?
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay.